Welcome back to Chatting with Sonia and Friends. And before we left, obviously, we were just talking about this very serious topic, if you will, women in menopause. And I just wanted to know, a lot of women are confused about all of it, if I'm being honest. Dr. O'Sullivan, why do you think women are so confused about everything that's happening during this menopausal state?
Look at our lifetime, if we have kids and we know they're coming up to that age of puberty, we tend to talk to them about the changes they're going to see in their body and what's going to happen. And if we happen to get pregnant, there are just books upon books upon books you can buy to read. Everyone is waiting to tell you their pregnancy stories. And it's not difficult to find information. But when it comes to menopause, I think traditionally it's been quite a taboo subject, and it's not really something that you've heard your mum or your grandmom talk about. And so you don't know all these symptoms that are going to occur. And when they do, and they come on over years, you're not able to join the dots. And you do end up going to your doctor, but unfortunately, what's happened is most med schools really and residency training programs were designed by men for men. And so, pregnancy has always been a very important topic, but after that, there's less spoken about women and less taught about women in med school and residency, for definite. And so we really are at a point where a lot of women will go to their doctor, and because they've done so much reading, they actually know a bit more about this than their doctor might, because there are so many podcasts now you can listen to and books you can read. And women are really educating themselves on this topic. And unfortunately, in medicine, we're a bit behind.
And yeah, we've like 1,001 questions when we go to our doctors. And I don't know, I feel like they sometimes move on to the next because they're not really telling us what's happening, or they'll just say, oh, well, it comes with getting older. And so sometimes we don't even know what to talk about in that area. And so there's an emotional and identity shift with that as well. Dr. Christine, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think for a lot of women, they're, at the prime of their life, they're enjoying their families, they're loving their jobs, maybe they do both. And then all of a sudden they feel like the rug just gets pulled out from underneath them because they're not sleeping. And women just don't do well when they're not sleeping for a long period of time. And then, the mood changes become quite prominent. And, women will say, I have this perfect life, but yet I don't like any of it. Or their children are becoming more irritating to them, or they're getting that perimenopause rage where they know that their reaction to things just doesn't make sense, but they can't help themselves. Or, their husband chews too loud and just everything is on their very last nerve. And then for women that, are working outside the home, they start to feel like they cannot remember things. They can't get the words out. They can't multitask as well as they used to. And so many women, consider leaving the workforce. 1 in 5 women. And women start missing a lot of days of work, which causes other issues. 1 in 10 women miss work days. And it, costs the corporate sector about $1.8 billion. And so women are like, I'm just going to tap out, but that's all the seasoning and the experience. And so, all of that together, women spend a lot of time, especially if they don't understand what's happening, just suffering and feeling like they can't function anymore. And that's where, the menopause expert comes in and we fix your hormones and get you back in the saddle and get you back to where you feel good. And, that brain fog is a lot of low testosterone. And so fixing that testosterone is really helpful for women to get what we call higher executive functioning back. Where they get their oomph, or they have more motivation and more drive. And it's the last piece of the puzzle that women say kind of puts them back together.
Wonderful. And that's a lot of information. Thank you for that. And then I wanted to ask Dr. Rebbecca, so this is why we talk about it, but why must we talk about this?
Yeah. silence really is doing more harm than good. And we don't talk about this with women, and they don't know what is happening to them. They don't even know to ask the questions. They can't get the help early in order to, like Eva and Christine were saying, to get treatment so that they can go to work, take care of their kids, take care of themselves. In perimenopause is when you have most of those fluctuations, which is when a lot of them are leaving the workforce, they're retiring early, they're not taking promotions. So, in addition, they blame themselves. So when they don't know about that, they feel guilty, they blame themselves, they just kind of shut down. And so, the more that we speak up, the more that we educate women, it's powerful. They'll say, yes, this is me too.
Mm-hmm.
They recognize it and they become more empowered.
And sometimes you don't even know, you don't feel great.
Yeah.
Like you don't feel horrible, but you don't feel great.
Yeah. You don't recognize that woman staring back at you in the mirror, and you don't understand why you don't recognize her.
And I was just wondering, and it's no quick fix, is it? Do you just go get hormone shots, or should you be taking things over the counter like calcium, vitamin D? I've heard both of those. Is that true? Can you do potassium pills, calcium pills, vitamin D?
I wish it was that easy. It's not that easy. Yeah. So, really the first thing is to, like all three of us were saying, is to find a menopause specialist who's truly educated in midlife, perimenopause and menopause care, and start having the conversation. And then you can develop a plan together on what exactly you need or you want.
So do you mention it to your doctor and they refer you to a menopausal specialist, or do you go out and find your own outside of your physician?
I can let one of the other ladies, Eva or Christine.
Can someone speak to that, please?
Yeah, there are some sources online. So there's the Menopause Society, which is our society over here in America, where you can join or you can actually sit an exam and be qualified in menopause care. And they have a website that you can put in your zip code, and any clinicians around you will pop up. And then I would suggest making a few phone calls or doing some internet research to see which of those people might suit you, and then call their office and make sure that they really are doing menopause care. And because sometimes people get behind in their training or they are not staying up to date. So, and then we have Dr. Mary Claire Haber, who has the Pause website, and she has a list of clinicians that's made by actual patients, women who've been to see them and they're happy, and they go and they leave a review on this website, and then you again can look up your zip code.
Well, thank you very much. And so when we come back, we're going to wrap up, and we'll ask a couple of questions from our audience. We'll be right back.